Good morning. Just want to give a little update on some things that have happened out here with our animals. We have 5 less chickens than we used to have. There was an incident and we lost 5 of them. I don't really want to talk about it, but the interesting thing about the situation was we're actually considering slaughtering our current crop of chickens, just from the standpoint that they are getting a little bit older. They're about 4 or 5 years old now, and their egg production has decreased. I would say it's probably at 80 to 85% of what it was when they were, a year and a half, 2 years old. And the layers had suddenly started to peck and eat their own eggs. So down to 10 chickens, and the girls are being really good. And I don't know if the trauma of the thing that happened and where we lost the 5 of them is why they're suddenly not eating their eggs, but let's take a look and see. I'll show you what we have today. So we've got, 4 nice eggs here and 4 nice eggs down there. And I guess that means they're off the menu for now. We were going to make them into stew hens, but we will probably keep them through at least until, the winter time. I don't want to feed them through the winter if they don't produce eggs for the winter again, but you're off the hook for now, girls. And I should also note that the automatic watering system that we set up with that big container behind me has worked like a charm. In, the 2 months of essentially summer weather we've had so far, it's run dry once. And whoo, boy, is that nice to have. Not have to water. I'm still checking on the chickens twice a day and making sure we pick up their eggs and that they have food and, address bedding concerns and all that. But it's just one of those things for me to have to deal with on the regular. And if we ever choose with our chickens to take them into more of a mobile setup, obviously when we add chickens versus this little pen, we have 10, you multiply that by, 40. If we wanted to do, batches 40 to 90, probably be where we'd be sitting at. I don't know, we could scale it. But if we choose to do that, this will still last a lot longer, and it is mobile. So, if we don't have a spigot where we're running them in the middle of the field and I don't want to run hose, it's a good option. What about these girls? Oh, did I spook you? Hi, girls. So they are summertime, relatively lean, but we're trying to get them to get their exercise. We're not feeding them much of any grain at all because our experience with this breed has just been that they're fat. And we don't have as much of a use for, just fat with our pigs as a lot of homesteaders I think might. So this is a great breed if you're looking for a lot of fat, but we're more looking for them to just be kind of lean relative to their breed. So update on out here, their paddock area from this last winter, you can see, we fed them squash and the squash is growing. We haven't watered it at all. Other things out here, that's tansy ragwort, and I got to get that pulled like today, tomorrow, before it actually converts from flower to seed. Do not want that. It's going to take years for us to kill it on this property because that neighbor's property has it. The far side over there is packed with it. Down here, this gal has a horse farm, and so there was none on her property. And even if we're not ready to deal with it just yet, just from a standpoint of being respectful of the fact that she's got such clean pastures for her horses, I want to get rid of this stuff and pull it now. And just as one last update on the pasture here before we head into the fall season, I'll take you out here and I'll show you how we're looking now that we're well into the summertime. And if we stop putting water on, the grass will go into the standard state, which is dead for the Willamette Valley, because here we have months of dry. People think of the Willamette Valley as very wet, but honestly it's not. So here on the edge, poison oak, poison oak, poison oak. These root systems didn't get plowed up, and they are back. I mean, we sprayed them. We've done our best from that standpoint, and it just didn't kill them. We tried 3 different sprays, and they just keep coming back. We're kind of on the very edge now, and there was some tillage and plowage here. We do have some thistles coming up in patch, and not a whole lot in the way of poison oak. A few squash plants that tried to grow but are getting eaten by the deer. Out here, reasonably good vegetative growth. We didn't plant any clover, but there is some clover forage in here. The grass looks pretty nice. It's come in thick enough. Still some ferns, which not a huge deal. It's too sunny for them, so they'll be gone. There are some patchier areas where, it's just the heads of the grass, and this field gets grazed like nightly by the deer. So that's why, you've got essentially stalks and low grass, because the deer are, I guess, our livestock for this area. So I'll probably keep watering it just to keep it green through the summertime and help it really establish good deep roots, but I might soak it periodically. This is a patchier area, and there's a few of these, some thistles in here, but overall it's pretty much where we want it to be, and I think that's fantastic. So there is going to be a successful conversion. We'll just do the same thing next time. I'll probably choose a different seed when we come up here for the fall in this top pasture. It'll also probably help if we just don't have the top pasture be seed that's several years old. And I would like to mix in some clover. This lower area was just grass because I didn't want to hit the neighbor's property with clover because she doesn't want it for her horses. And again, just trying to be respectful. And this area will eventually be almost entirely vegetable beds anyway on this half. So not as big of a deal as what I would like a pasture to be. It's not as important. So again, this is pig's paddock. They've eaten it down. There's really nothing left, but unlike with the goats, they're not chewing up these trees to kill their bark, and that's a big deal. That's the reason we don't have goats anymore, even though we have all that to eat, is because they were chewing the bark out and killing trees, and I didn't like that. So we've got the pigs. They are getting supplemental feed again. So what you've been hearing in the background is the can slamming. And all 3 pigs have been going to the far pasture on the top pretty regularly. Basically, it's a commute for them every day. And, they're spending time up there, but it's not something where we are opening up the rest of it to them right now. They still have some forage up there. The grass is dying, but it's not dead yet because that area is such a late water present area. Eventually we're going to try and put a pond up into that little field because obviously there's a high water table and the water stays there. Now right here is kind of an area that's at the edge. You can see it's still wet. This is at the edge of this reach of the sprinkler over here. We're 50 foot over and it reaches about to this tree. And you can see there it's dry, and here it is legitimately still wet. And that's just the difference of the effect of the trees. So I walk out here and we're dry again. This area gets a lot of shade from the maple, from that oak, and then in the morning from this oak right here. So one of the things I have to assess with this paddock up here is, do I need to take out any more trees in order for me to plant and have the plantings be successful for our fruit production? And I've really narrowed it down. I like a lot of the trees that are in this mix, and I think there'll be 1 or 2 more maples, like this skinny one behind me here. One of those 2 is going to go, and then I'm going to continue to attack this cluster maple here and try and limit up and get it into more of a vertical shape, not have it be so bushy. And I'm still strongly considering right behind me in the canopy, there is an oak tree. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, there we go, right up there. So that oak is probably going to go. This oak here is more by itself. It is smaller. They take a long time to grow. Their concern with these white oaks, like that one and like this one, is that they do not like being wet-footed in the summertime, and they will be. You know, in this setting, they will have water. I'll tell you a story. So these white oaks here are essentially like savanna or prairie oaks, and they typically will survive and thrive in the Willamette Valley and south of Willamette Valley, and I think all the way into California, because they're okay being completely dry pretty much in the summertime, as long as they do get sufficient winter water. And you know, they do much better than the other trees on this hillside in that circumstance. But we went to college, my wife and I did, and up in northern Willamette Valley area, and the college we went to had a great big, you know, lawn between the president's house and the, you know, kind of main bunch of buildings that was watered 2, 3, 4 times weekly. Way too much water, just a ridiculous amount of water, because they wanted the grass to be, you know, perfect and green. You know, and at the end of the day, the effect of that was they started killing off tree by tree the whole grove of oak trees, starting with the oldest and largest tree. That area, they had, you know, essentially a swampy soil, and that oak just couldn't take it. You know, it had survived, I think they said it was several hundred years old at that point, and all that's left now is a bench. So those oak trees, like this one and this one, they aren't going to make, you know, survive in that kind of conditions. I think this one here may have a harder time because it's in the middle of what will be vegetables than this one, which is going to be in, you know, rows of fruit plantings, berries primarily. But I think if I choose not to take it out, if I choose not to take this one out for reasons of letting more sun in to this area up in here, if it stays, it may well survive better than you know, expected, because we're going to be using drip, and drip just is not as wasteful. It's nowhere near as wasteful of water. It doesn't put as much water into the soil, and I think that tree would probably coexist just fine with drip versus overhead irrigation. So right above our kids' playhouse, I got too close and they got quiet, but we have a nest. It's right up there, right there in the crotch of that maple tree right there. And it's one of several. Garden is looking nice and bushy. We have some tomatoes on this volunteer tomato plant here. Hi, buddy. I'm out in the garden. This is some kind of, I think, winter squash. You can see it's got squash growing on that. We did pull almost all these kohlrabies out because they just aren't doing the kohlrabi thing. Beans coming on quite nicely this year. We have these, I think what's wrong here is they're just not getting enough light, because you come down the way and suddenly you're in a situation where, you know, the plants are much larger, and we do have some you know, pumpkins growing on here, which was great. That one's pretty cute right there in the bushes. Boys have been really enjoying the sugar snap peas.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talking to the people online. We've got some summer zucchinis. You want to pick that one? That one's perfect. We can have that one. Grab it up right here and right there, and then you have to snap it off, but don't pull the plant. You want to try? You want to see me do it? Okay, so reach in here. This is a very delicate plant.
Oh.
There.
Thank you, Dad.
Yeah, we'll take that inside.
Yeah, it's my first.
Zucchini?
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Squash.
So behind me here we have our double deer fence, and it's done great. You know, we haven't had any deer intrusions other than months ago when this gate was accidentally left open. So, you know, I've been pleasantly surprised. 5 to 6 feet apart, they're only 4 to 5 feet high, and it's worked out like a dream. So I definitely would recommend that if you don't have the option of running an 8-foot fence. We actually do have a little short video that I did that has a little more detail on my thoughts on deer fencing, so check that out. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.